Kristen.
Karoline, thank you. Last week, President Trump announced that he had a productive call with Vladimir Putin. They scheduled a meeting in Hungary. Since then, he has canceled the meeting and he has imposed sanctions on Russian oil companies. Can you talk about what changed that led to this dramatic shift, or even just what occurred in the last week that got us from point A to point B?
Sure. Look, the president has always maintained that he would implement sanctions on Russia when he felt it was appropriate and necessary. And yesterday was that day. I think the president has also long expressed his frustration with Vladimir Putin and, frankly, both sides of this war. And he's always said in order to negotiate a good peace deal, both sides need to be interested in a good peace deal. And he feels as though, unfortunately, from the Russian side as of late, he has not seen enough interest and enough action in terms of moving the ball forward towards peace. And so a meeting between these two leaders is not completely off the table. I think the president and the entire administration hopes that one day that can happen again, but we want to make sure that there's a tangible, positive outcome out of that meeting, and that it's a good use of the president's time. Of course, he's traveling to Asia next week. He has a number of events coming up here on the home front as well. He's been incredibly busy, as you all know. You're all tired from covering him and his movements every day, and so we want to make sure it's a good use of the president's time, and the president doesn't want to waste his time, and he said that.
Was it the call between the Secretary of State and Lavrov that led President Trump to believe that President Putin or the Russians did not want a peace deal?
That was not the sole reason, no. I think the Secretary Rubio felt that was actually a productive call. But again, the president wants to make sure that a meeting between himself and President Putin will be a good use of his time.
But what exactly led to President Trump not believing, after his call on Thursday, where he said he did think he wanted peace and wanted a peace deal, to believing that Russians were not?
Again, the president wants to see action, not just talk. And I think the president is extremely motivated by the success of his peace deal in the Middle East to get things done. And he wants this war to come to an end. He's been saying it now for 9 months being in office, and he's grown increasingly frustrated with the lack of progress from both sides of this war. Mary.
For example.
Two quick construction questions, if I can. You mentioned any construction project comes with changes. The president had initially said that this project wouldn't interfere with or touch the current structure. Now he says to do this properly, he realized that the East Wing had to be demolished. This is the people's house. Why not inform the public of that change and when it was decided that the East Wing would have to be demolished?
Look, again, with any construction project, changes come, and we have informed all of you. We've been keeping you apprised of this project. We've shown you the renderings, and if you look at the renderings, it's very clear the East Wing was going to be modernized. Instead, in fact, I said that in the briefing when we initially introduced this plan to all of you and to the public.
But modernized and tearing down are two different things.
Well, again, the plans changed when the president heard counsel from the architects and the construction companies who said that in order for this East Wing to be modern and beautiful for many, many years to come, for it to be a truly strong and stable structure, this phase one that we're now in was necessary. And the president wants to do right by the people's house. And so that's exactly what he's doing. It's going to be, again, like I said, much more stable, strong, secure, and more beautiful than ever once it's complete.
And the First Lady's offices, where will those be? The First Lady's offices, the Social Secretary's office?
In the East Wing.
They will be back where they were?
Yes.
Thank you. Cattle ranchers who supported the president's election have raised some concerns about plans to import beef from Argentina. How will the Trump administration support those farmers?
Look, the president hears those concerns. He addressed them yesterday himself. President loves our ranchers, and our ranchers love our president. And in fact, the president did a lot for them in his first term here. They are struggling because of the many horrible policies of the previous administration. The president loves our ranchers, and he also loves American consumers, and he wants to do right by both. So the immediate solution to the problem of the rising cost of beef, the president wants to bring that down as we have to increase our supply. And so that's what he's doing with respect to these imports. But the president also is looking out for our ranchers with a long-term plan that was released by the Secretary of Agriculture yesterday. It's a 3-part plan. It's very extensive and detailed. I would encourage all of you to read through it. But there's really 3 points to this plan that the president has agreed upon and has entrusted Secretary Rollins to implement. Number 1, strengthening U.S. cattle production through increased grazing access, endangered species reforms, enhanced disaster relief, increased access to capital, and reducing costs for new and young ranchers. We want to incentivize more Americans to get into this noble profession. Lowering long-term long-term costs by cutting inspection costs, increasing market options for consumers with product of USA labeling, and ensuring consumers know that they are eating American beef. It's a good incentive for the American consumer. And lastly, growing the domestic herd while boosting long-term demand to reduce prices for consumers while growing the markets for our ranchers. So President hears them. He has to address both of these problems for the ranchers, but also for the American consumer. He promised to lower costs, and that's what he's committed to doing.
Karoline, thank you. Two questions not on the ballroom. The first is, there's a Democrat in Texas who's actually running for Congress who said last night during an interview when talking about fighting Republicans and this administration, quote, "If you hit me in my face, I'm not going to punch you back in your face. I'm going to go across your neck." This has obviously really upset those folks over at Turning Point USA after the Charlie Kirk assassination. Just your response to that kind of rhetoric.
Just very jarring rhetoric, and I think it's very unacceptable. I hope the people of Texas will do the right thing and reject this person's candidacy. It should have no place in American politics.
And then just a quick second question on oversight Democrats that are saying that they're creating this master ICE tracker, basically tracking all ICE activity. We've seen the protests in New York just yesterday. Homeland Security is saying that this sounds like obstruction of justice. What do you say?
Again, this is actively putting the lives of our ICE agents at risk. We've seen media outlets, in fact, in this room, also write stories about ICE tracker apps that Democrats and other left-wing activists have created to track the location of ICE agents on the ground in our communities. Again, I've said this repeatedly, and I will continue to say it. The men and women of ICE are outstanding people. I wish a Democrat on Capitol Hill would actually have the courage or the guts to stand up to their party and sit down with some of these men and women who are doing this incredibly difficult job of enforcing our federal immigration laws. They are, again, simply trying to enforce the law and do their jobs. And if Democrats spent a little bit more time understanding that and also focusing on the people who they are trying to get out of our country every single day. As I spoke about earlier, 3 innocent people in California are dead because an illegal alien who Democrats let into this country was wrongfully issued a trucker's driving license and clearly was not fit for the job because he was driving intoxicated and killed 3 innocent people. Democrats should focus a little bit more on that. Stop trying to fight this president and this administration on every turn and restore law and order. That's all that we and these brave men and women of ICE are trying to do. Mary.
Thanks, Caroline. I have 2 questions, one on San Francisco and one on the No Kings protesters. On San Francisco, the president said that he had a call with the mayor and he was planning on surging there, but now because the mayor really wants to fix it up himself, they're going to do that. Is this what Trump hopes happens in pretty much every city?
The president hopes, and I've said this so many times, and I think the president's conversation with the San Francisco mayor last night and his statement today prove the president is willing to work with anyone across the aisle, across the country, to do the right thing and clean up America's cities. He is genuinely interested in this effort to make our streets safer, to make our cities safe and clean again. And he heard from the mayor last night who told him that he is going to earnestly try to make his city better on his own. The president heard him out. He said, okay, I'll give you a chance. We'll be watching, and if you need us, we are here. And if I feel as though you continue to fail your citizens, the federal government may have to step in. But we'll continue to watch San Francisco, and that law enforcement operation has now been paused.